Fourth piece, the Hedgehog Concept. This is my last favorite bit. And then after that, I think the book kind of tapers down. In the last two, I think are more added on chapters. I mean, they're not really, in my opinion, they're not massively significant. I think he accepts that as well. Because he talks about, should I have put those chapters there or not? Eventually, you have level 5 leadership, you have the right team, you have a culture of confronting brutal facts. Thank you, sir. The Hedgehog Concept is about saying, the story is the fox and the hedgehog. The fox knows many things, the hedgehog knows only one thing. Every day the fox says, I want to eat the hedgehog. So every day he makes a new plan. He's going to jump out from behind this bush, run over from here, drop down from the tree, whatever it may be. He's going to get the hedgehog. But the hedgehog, he knows only one thing. He sees the fox coming. As he goes about his daily business, slowly walking over to have his lunch, sees the fox coming. He says, oh no, not again. He rolls himself into his little ball with all the spikes pointed outwards. And the poor fox goes, God damn it. And he goes off to make his new plan. And so the hedgehog does that one thing very well and builds on it. And that's what he says these key companies have tended to do. They focused on one thing. It's a little different than core competence. Kimberly-Clark's core competence was running paper mills. They ripped it up, threw it out the door, and focused on something else. And this is actually one of my favorite chapters, so I'm going to refer to the book of Philips. I come to Walgreens and use that example. I think he was talking about Walmart, but Walgreens. They basically made the decision to get out of the food business. They were running 500 restaurants at the time. Their tradition, their start had been malteds and diners and malted shakes, and they invented the malted shake. They invented a whole bunch of that kind of food. They ran diners, 500 restaurants. They chose to get out of the business. They chose a simple principle. Let me read that off explicitly, I think. The convenient drugstore. So the core focus was, well, the hedgehog principle was convenient drugstore. So drugstore, convenient was the key word, and high profit per customer. Not high profit per store, high profit per customer. And they built their whole business around that. Sorry, I'm going to take a second to find this. The concept is simply this: the best, most convenient drugstores with high profit per customer visit. That's it. That was the core hedgehog principle. Note, this is not core business necessarily. This is not core competence. But this is the core focus. In classic hedgehog style, doing one thing well, Walgreens took this simple concept and implemented it with fanatical consistency. It embarked on a systematic program to replace all inconvenient locations with more convenient ones, preferably corner lots where customers could easily enter and exit from multiple directions. If a great corner location would open up just half a block away from a profitable Walgreens store in a good location, the company would close the goods store, even at a cost of $1 million to get out of the lease, to open a great new store at the corner. Walgreens pioneered drive-through pharmacies, found customers liked the idea, and built hundreds of them. In urban areas, here's sort of the non-intuitive stuff. In urban areas, the company clustered its stores tightly, on the precept that no one should have to walk more than a few blocks to reach a Walgreens, because that was the whole point of convenience. In downtown San Francisco, for example, Walgreens clustered 9 stores within 1 mile radius. If you look closely, you will see Walgreens stores as densely packed in some cities as Starbucks coffee shops in Seattle. Walgreens then linked its convenience concept to a simple economic idea: profit per customer visit. Tight clustering, 9 stores in a mile, leads to local economies of scale, which provides the cash for more clustering, which in turn draws in more customers. By adding high margin services in the store, like for 1 hour photo developing, Walgreens increased its profit per customer visit. The focus is on convenience and profit per customer visit, not profit per store. Focus is on convenience. So you look at the city and say, how do I increase convenience and get the largest number of people, not how do I take each store and make it massively profitable. That doesn't mean they didn't focus on profit there as well. But the core guiding principle that they've settled on was convenience and high profit per customer. How can I get repeat buying? How can I get them to buy more every time they visit any one of my stores, so that it's nearby and they tend to go there a lot more. So the whole business has been built around that, and because of that increased profit per customer, more cash generated, throw it back in the business, more convenience, more cash generated. That's it. Round and round and round, the same simple idea. When you look at those three circles, you know, what he talks about is the notion of the hedgehog concept. You know, he's tried to sort of course, intellectualize it a little bit. It really comes down to really three dimensions, and where do you lie on those three dimensions? So number one, what can you be the best at in the world? Not just good at. What do you think you can be best at? What are you deeply passionate about? If you can't be the best at it, you're deeply passionate about it, you make no money, you had a good time, but you made no money and you're not good. If you can't be the best at it, you will not be good. If you're not passionate about it, you will not sustain. And when you say it's you, it's not you, the CEO, it's the whole company. Intrinsically is passionate about it. And eventually, under that, there has to be a way to seriously make money at this business. What drives your economic engine? What's that focus? So in Walgreens' case, best convenient drugstore, most convenient drugstore, profit per customer. And if you can get that intersection and you can really gel down to that concept, that he feels is what really drives the company, because then you can focus all effort in the one place. Come back to some of these. I don't know how to sentence it. As he says, you know, the best investment is an undiversified portfolio when you're right. Right? You put all your wood behind the one arrow. As long as you're right, that's going to give you the best returns. You're not trying to spread across 15 things. So the whole focus is to really understand what you can be good at. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, we talked about it. Deregulation sets in. They've pretty much been inside the US. Well, strategy, should we go out and compete with Citi all over the world? Should we do international expansion? Bank of America went out on an acquisition spree, trying to buy companies, try to grow all over the world. Wells Fargo initially started that way. Confronted brutal reality, can't win against Citi, too well entrenched, we're too far behind. Well, they settled back. What can we be best at? We can be the best bank on the West Coast. That's it. They're still the best bank on the West Coast. They've never expanded beyond that. They own the West Coast. And they're highly profitable, very, very strong, one of the best banks in the country. They're the best bank on the West Coast. And then Abbott Labs, both they and Upjohn ended up in a roughly same place. Merck comes in. Merck puts in a lot of money in research, has a huge lead. Both Upjohn and Abbott had been making money on their old drugs, just sort of churning away, no new molecules arriving, not too much going on. Upjohn tried to compete. They tried to go up straight up with Merck, tried to invest in R&D, did a few acquisitions, eventually out of business. Abbott accepted reality that they couldn't compete with Merck. They were so far behind on the research end. Merck had a huge research lab, 5-7 year lead over everything. The chance of catch up was really nearly zero. Abbott went back and really looked at what they can do well. And they found themselves a new focus. Rather than trying to be a pharmaceutical company, they found a focus saying they had a bunch of stuff that they were doing that made the cost of healthcare cheaper, faster recovery, better food in the hospital, instruments that make some of these recoveries faster. That's where they focused. They completely went out of direct competition of the pharmaceutical sector to find what they could do really, really well at. They could be an also ran pharmaceutical company. They chose not to be. But again, proceeded with a team already in place. The most fun I have is what is your denominator. They, so you find your principle, but what drives your economic engine? Walgreens profit per customer visit. I love reading some of these off because these are not obvious. So, become the best at creating a product portfolio that lowers the cost of healthcare. That's what they chose as their, what can we be best at? Kroger could become best at innovative super combo stores. Kimberly-Clark chose to become the best in the world at paper-based consumer products, came out of traditional paper products. And Nucor could become the best at harnessing culture and technology to produce low-cost steel. Wells Fargo could become the best at running a bank like a business. That was the whole point. It started running banks like a business. That was new after deregulation, with a focus in the Western United States. Walgreens could become the best convenient drugstore. But the interesting thing under that is the numbers that they show, the denominator. Abbott chose to move from profit per product line to profit per employee. Big shift. Because that fit with the idea of contributing to cost-effective healthcare. So they simply completely shifted the focus of what they measured and what they were built around to profit per employee. Gillette moved from profit per division to profit per customer. Repeat buying and high value buying. Mark III instead of disposable razor. Completely changed their business strategy around that focus. Nucor shifted from profit per division to profit per ton of finished steel. Why profit per ton of finished steel? Because eventually to produce a ton of finished steel at a high profit means your technology costs have to be better and your people costs have to be better. Your people productivity has to be higher. And you combine both of those costs, the fixed overhead, the technology overhead and the people overhead into that one number. Profit per ton. It allows them to create a seamless measure of both because eventually that's the success criteria. Walgreens, profit per customer visit, not profit per store. Move from profit per store to profit per customer visit, reflected as a symbiotic relation between convenience and sustainable economics. If you go to profit per store, it actually fights against convenience because you've got to then maximize the value at a store rather than maximizing convenience for the customer. You don't put up 9 stores in a 1 mile radius. It's completely contradictory. Wells Fargo, a great outside CEO, a great vision to come in and do something with a great strategy. In fact, many of them that did that failed. They didn't sustain or they completely outright failed. Right? So his point is that it's longevity and sustainability requires a culture of bringing in the best talent, putting into positions of authority, allowing them to do and find the ways to do, to find the right paths. So the question is whether Infosys will be turned around by a single CEO or will they open out to allow more people to do more things? Don't know. At different points in time in any company's history, different things have to happen. Sometimes it's directive, sometimes it's more by freeing more entrepreneurial energy. Who knows? It comes down to history. I don't know their business well now, and hell, I'm no management guru. I'm just telling you what's in the book.
Any mention of the Indian company?
One second, he's been waiting, sorry.
My question is quite basic. It's about the organizational culture, and you mentioned organizational culture which has helped companies in a number of slides. Now, so the question is like this: is organizational culture can be built as a strategy? So is it a strategized activity? If yes, then I think culture goes down from the leader or the committee, as you said, right? So, and it is kind of built according to the psyche or personality of those leaders. So how can it be built?
I'm going to make her ask.
Me? You really want me to
Yeah,
answer
take
that?
a stab, come on.
That's my personal view, but I think yes, organizational culture can be built. And I have seen several organizations where organization culture also changes with the leadership because they want certain behaviors to be, part. Yeah, the values are changed many times. Some values are added. When I was with American Express Bank, I saw that there were some values that were added beyond the values that were already existing. So there were certain behaviors that were required, certain cultural change that was required. So I personally feel that yes, it can be a part of your strategy. Because you want to achieve certain desired results, business results what I'm talking about, at a particular stage of your life cycle. That's my view, but feel free to add.
Yeah, and I think the thesis in the book to a large degree is that the type of culture you want not necessarily only dictated by CEO. CEO will change, if the new culture needed. That doesn't make any sense. That is not a culture. Culture is something that outlasts and has a certain core focus. It may shift over time, but has a certain core focus. And that eventually culture comes from the people and the systems that you put around the people. And so there's a certain set of behaviors that are expected, and the thesis in the book basically says you have to have a lot of rigor to try to make sure that it's set in the right place, the wheels start turning in the right direction, and you maintain it in that direction. You have to have a lot of discipline, rigor around it to get the right kind of people to fit.
I'll tell you where the question comes from, because I talk to a lot of medium and small companies, and they look at, say, Google or Apple or any other company. They go through the books and then say, hey, this is the culture that this company followed, and I liked it. I'm going to adopt it. So I always in a dilemma whether to tell them, hey, it comes from within, or whether you can copy it. Right?
You can do all of the above.
Yeah, I think both of you people do.
Everything is possible.